And here we are at the DefSec 2022 podcast, presented by Cisco on day 2 of the trade show, and it is an absolute buzz. Today is Workforce Development Day, but our next conversation I think is going to be a little bit more technically focused, and I can't wait to get into it. Jacqueline, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sounds good. My name is Jacqueline Nichols. I'm part of the business development team at Cellula Robotics. So my background's actually in electrical engineering, and I worked at Cellula for 4 or 5 years previously as an electrical engineer, helping design some of our subsea robotic systems. Most recently I transitioned into the business development team, so a little bit more high-level systems, figuring out where we can start to use more of our robots, finding different clients, customers, and where we can kind of fit in with them.
Tell us a little bit about Cellula, Jacqueline.
Yeah, so Cellula was actually founded about 21 years ago out in Vancouver as a small company. We've always had kind of a niche of subsea robotics, a little bit more on geotechnical systems and various, well, really anything that goes underwater. Since 2016, we've been designing and building autonomous underwater vehicles.
Okay.
And yeah, so we've been focusing on that since then. We developed a hydrogen fuel cell powered long-range autonomous underwater vehicle for DRDC, Defence Research Development Canada, starting I think back in 2018. And yeah, so that's a 2,000 kilometer submerged range.
Just saying, I spent 30 years in sales and marketing, and when someone from your electrical engineering background comes over to what I call the dark side, I'm so impressed. I just had to say that.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's kind of fun doing more of the high level stuff sometimes instead of, but I'm also curious as to how some of the other stuff is doing, because I realized most of the stuff on our table right now, I haven't had much of a part in designing. I've kind of done some of the predecessors, but not the current bit, so it's fun to see what we're doing now too.
So what separates your underwater vehicle from anything else that's on the market? What is your value prop?
For the Solus family, it's absolutely about the range. The hydrogen-powered fuel cell uses gas bottles for the 2,000 kilometer range, and we have the Solus XR under development right now. That's 5,000 kilometers range.
Really?
So that one is being developed kind of for the Royal Australian Navy, and yeah, it's the range. And it's just kind of the perfect fit with the hydrogen bottles, the gas bottles, and it just produces water, flows into the ballast tanks, keeps it, same ballast and trim from the start of the mission to the end of the mission. Lots of payload space because of it. It's great.
So I mean, that's an incredible range for a vehicle, and it's a fairly large vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 12 meters in length is the Solus XR, so about 40 foot, fits inside of a 40-foot ISO container. The Solus LR is 8 meters in length.
Right.
About 1 meter in diameter.
And payload, I guess you can put whatever you need on there?
Yeah, so initially it was developed with the suction caisson anchor, so it can deploy that from the payload bay, suction into the seafloor, and the rest of the AUV can float in kind of a low-powered, just listening state. So there's a variable buoyancy system in there. Right now we are also adding on a lot of different payloads. We're dropping a listening station through the payload doors so that there can be a hydrophone with a blue light communication as well, so when the AUV comes back into the space, it can offload the data. We're trialing a towed array on the AUV coming out pretty soon. We have a camera laser system being integrated.
Camera laser, so is that like the laser would point at the object, light it, or like just what does that mean?
Typically I believe that's for scaling, so when you look at the images and videos afterwards, you know, you have that context of how big it was, how far away it was.
Right.
It sounds like an incredible vehicle for sure. Launched, how's it launched? Is it?
It's actually just from a boat trailer, so we're designing it for port-to-port missions because you have that range that even just from the coast you can trundle out to wherever you need to go and still complete a significant mission. So you don't necessarily need to launch it from a vessel. You can have a small crewed or uncrewed topside vessel to help with position fixing when you're out for a really long time, or provide that communications bridge.
Kind of like a drone operation?
Generally, you don't actually need to operate it manually. You program it at the start, it's autonomous, it can make decisions that you've sent in. One of the things I forgot to mention for the payload, we've tested message buoy. So it basically shoots up a tiny little AUV that communicates with the satellites and can send messages back to base.
Wow.
So if it finds something that maybe shouldn't be there, it can send out that message, alert people where it's going, when it came in. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said the value proposition's a range. That's incredible. That's incredible range. Is there many AUVs in the space that are using hydrogen as a fuel source?
I don't believe so. Right now we're definitely in there for the range, and I don't think there's any at the moment that are doing the hydrogen fuel cell.
Jacqueline, is it all Canadian company?
Yes.
Yeah, all Canadian tech, all going into this?
Absolutely, wherever possible. Lots of Canadian payloads too. It's actually, I think, the Voyas camera laser system that's going on, the Ocean Sonics hydrophone is on there for doing more ocean background noise, as well for the listening station for if there's other things in our waters. Ocean floor geophysics magnetometer to help with more UXO missions. Sure, there's a few that I'm forgetting right now, but yeah.
Was it incubated out of academia, or how did it come about?
It was founded by someone who had a background, Eric Jackson. He has a background in both mining geotechnical and subsea robotic engineering. He's a control systems and everything. And he founded it, the 21, 22 years ago at this point in time, just as a very small company, and it just has continued to grow since. We've actually, ballooned in size since last year.
Pretty forward thinking, 21 years ago.
Well, 100%. And so you're working with DRDC now, great partner to work with for sure, right? Quarterbacking into some military application. But of course, a tool like this is not only military application. I mean, it's a broad market that could use it, correct?
Absolutely. We're actually doing some work with Transport Canada for the Quiet Vessel Initiative, with both the listening station and the AUV, for getting more of a soundscape when there's a lot of vessel traffic in the area, how that'll affect more cetaceans in the ocean, and getting that little bit more of a baseline.
Underwater hydrographic work for the Arctic, right?
Absolutely. And all of, with the amount of payload capacity, you can still do your main mission, but gather the rest of the data and, almost create a data queue. What are we looking at? What are the layers?
Right.
And,
exactly, because there's a lot of data you could be pulling back and a lot of applications for that data, right?
Yep.
I tell you, it sounds like you're in the right space at the right time. We wish you absolutely the best of success. You've got a great team around you, I see here at the trade show. Tell me this, how has the trade show been for you so far?
It's been really good. It's been a good mix of people we haven't had a chance to actually come out and visit lately, potential new customers, a lot of people from the Navy and everything, which is great to have a little bit more discussions with them and how this could be used. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I am going to really quickly say on workforce development, we've also, because we've been growing, been trying to hire and are continuously looking for new people, and we still have a bunch of postings too.
Okay, so let's stay on that topic for a second.
Now you got our attention.
Now, so it's Workforce Development Day. Everybody in this room is in search for talent. How do you guys separate yourselves in the mix?
We have been trying to figure out what that looks like. A lot of the times it's just been, we do cool stuff.
Yeah.
The robots are really interesting. It's really cool tech. We try to keep, up to date with everything and more cutting edge. So usually it's a really good opportunity from that side.
Where are you based again?
We're out in Vancouver. In BC.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hiring, seriously, Alan, if anyone is looking for an opportunity, this is a company they should be looking at.
Well, there you go. Right? I mean, here we are right now. We have a company looking. So if you're a young person watching this show, or indeed you know of somebody that's looking in this space right now. So there you go. If you're somebody just entering the workforce, or indeed in transition and looking for another career, second career, a legacy career maybe, Cellula Robotics is absolutely hiring right now, based in Vancouver. Great company to work with, incredible technology, groundbreaking stuff. Highly recommend them. Thank you very much for joining the show.
Thank you.